All right, peace world. Come on, Freeman, Angry Black Man Therapy, representing We Got Radio, trying to get this live together with our distinguished guests to see if we can be successful in this endeavor. We lost them on the last effort. Let's see if we can get them there. Let's try this again, Brother Ed. The powers that be are trying to stop our shine. If NFL comes to play, they need to pay. That's what we're talking about today. All right. Shout out to Ben and Jerry's who got arrested protesting RFK Jr. Today when they cutting Medicaid so that they can have a bigger military budget and give free health care and subsidized housing and subsidized education to the people of apartheid Israel, so they can have those things there, but you don't have them here, but you're paying for them there. All right. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you for the birthdays. Thank you. Thank you. Waiting for our guest, Ed Lazier. Let's try this one more time, Ed. Let's try this one more time, Ed. DC Council should reject the RFK Stadium deal as it stands. All right, I'm not trying to stop y'all party. I know some of y'all rabid football fans want your bread and circus. But what we're not going to do is have trickle down economics being played in our faces. What we're not going to do is have somehow mysteriously $1 billion that they found taxpayer money when they said they don't have funds for this, that, and the third. But now they got $1 billion for a stadium. But in the poorest section of the nation's capital, these inequities have to be addressed. All right? Straight up. And like was said before, Martin Luther King said it best. He said that the problem is that we all too often have socialism for the rich and rugged free enterprise capitalism for the poor. That's the problem. When billionaires come to play, they need to pay. That's what this is about. All right? Because Ward 7 has only 3 grocery stores, a food desert practically, with serving over 90,000 people. But yet Ward 3 has 15 grocery stores serving less than 77,000 people. So you do the math, all right? So if billionaires come into play, they need to pay. And we're waiting for Ed Lazier to join us here. So give us a second so we can bring him back on. Let's see if we can bring him back on. Hopefully we can get this connection. This Meta-owned platform, the Zuckerberg platform, has been problematic here recently. You want to know why? Because they have set up so many balls. They lined up. First, they attacked the FCC. They made sure that the internet was a pay-to-play highway. They got their people in place for that. Then they got straight buyouts where they took over the largest social media platform, which was, at the time was Twitter. Then they took it over Facebook and Instagram. Well, they already had Facebook, but what has happened is that Meta is now blatantly open right wing, right? So we have to be able to find new ways for us to communicate and disseminate our information without being filtered through right wing media. And support PFW, by the way. They're wrapping up their spring pledge drive. Only 8% of their listeners actually contribute to that station, public media. You know what's under attack. You know what's going on. Let's do something about it. But there's 2,000 talk radio stations in America. 92% of them are right-wing radio stations, right-wing subsidized and funded right-wing stations. And only 8% can be accused of being progressive. All right, let's go. Let's try it one more time, Brother Ed. Hopefully. So we're going to try it again. That's 2. There we go. Bada
All
boom,
right.
bada bing.
Bada bing, bada boom. Nice to see you. How you doing?
Always a pleasure, Brother Ed. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the work you've been doing. For those who don't know, Ed Lazier is the former executive director of the DC Physical Policy Institute and also former candidate for council chairman. And he was challenging Phil Mendelssohn, and I hope that him and his wife can come to some peaceful conflict resolution and have him run again. But Ed, we basically been saying that if billionaires come to play, they need to pay. And one of the things that you was so deliberate pointing out in your information of your platform and your attempt to reject the RFK Stadium deal is that this would be the largest stadium subsidy in U.S. history. Let's say that again. You are saying that this, as it stands, will be the largest stadium subsidy in U.S. history. Let's start there.
Let us start there. Yep. So, a lot of us like to say in this world of trying to turn down billionaires who ask for stadium handouts is just pay for your own damn stadium, right? If you're a billionaire, You should be able to pay for this yourself. You bought the team for $6 billion. You should be able to build your own stadium as well. Yeah, so the mayor is touting this is a small city investment of $850 million, which on itself, that alone is a joke, and because that's not small. That's a huge amount of money. That alone will make it the second largest stadium deal ever in the country. But it's so much more than that, because there's property tax break worth hundreds of millions of dollars. There's free land worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and there's no sales or every penny of sales tax collected at the stadium, the team basically gets to keep to invest in maintaining and building the stadium. So those add up together to $2.2 billion. And experts across the country say that is the biggest deal ever in the country. And you know what? It doesn't even stop there, because not only does the team get all that money to build the stadium, but the mayor says, hey, we're going to give you nearly all the land outside the stadium as well for $1 a year for you to build hotels, restaurants, and bars, and you get to control that for 90 years. Like, it's just an enormous giveaway when we know the Commanders really want to be in DC, and we just don't need to give them a penny for them to come here because they want to be here.
Absolutely. And I thought that was very disheartening, because again, I think that's some more of that trickle down economics, as they say, playing in our face. And the fact that the Plaza District is what they're referring to, it sounds like as if this is gentrification on steroids, because you know what's going to happen in the Plaza District surrounding the stadium.
Well,
Like,
yeah, and we've heard from the community. People have said this is not being built for us. This is being built for them, right? I mean, it is the gentrifiers. It is for the people who have money to pay hundreds of dollars for tickets, to pay $75,000 to get a season ticket and your own special seat. It's for them. It will not be a welcoming space for the community. That's why our coalition is, we don't want a billionaires playground. So our coalition is no billionaires playground, RFK for the community. We don't want the community to be disrespected. We want something built there for them, because in addition to everything else I just told you,
mm-hmm.
the one little slice of RFK that would be left for the communities is called the Kingman Park District, and they would plunk 2 enormous parking garages there right in people's backyards. Like, this is all about stadiums, parking garages, hotels, and restaurants, and that's all money for the team, and really nothing for DC. DC just gets nothing out of this.
Well, in attending the RFK hearing at what was that? I think it was the Strand, excuse me, a new venue in Ward 7 that they hosted. Was a great presentation, was a great turnout, was a lot of media coverage, but the community was really on the fence. It looked like it's an uphill battle for them. It looks like a 70-30. As the deal now stands, and so they're gonna have to go back and tweak this. So, and as you mentioned earlier, if people want to weigh in, tell the mayor and the council to pose a multi-billion-dollar giveaway. It is norfkstadium.com, norfkstadium.com. Shout out again to Ben and Jerry's, who was protesting RFK Jr. today, who got arrested because they was cutting Medicaid to give the biggest military industrial complex budget in the history of America. Do we see the correlation here? The biggest military budget in the history, and they cutting Medicaid to do it, and they're trying to cut Social Security, a bunch of other things. And then, as Ed is pointing out, this is the biggest subsidy for a stadium in the history of the country as well. This is fashion one-on-one.
Yeah, and you are pointing out that this is just like, it's just one element in the corporate takeover that is being attempted of DC, because Mayor Bowser and maybe some members of the DC Council are so worried about the DC economy that they are bending over backwards to give the people who already are doing super well, who own all the property, own all the businesses, give them all the money and all the breaks, even if that means violating workers, violating the community, violating the environment. So, for example, the mayor also wants to repeal Initiative 82 that voters passed twice in D.C. to raise wages.
Twice.
Overwhelmingly, even though the restaurant industry has grown since Initiative 82 passed, you would think, based on what the restaurant lobby is saying, is that we've lost half of our restaurants since Initiative 82 passed. We've had more restaurants than we did when Initiative 82 started. We also know the mayor's trying to undermine tenant opportunity purchase right, one of the most important rights, TOPA, one of the most important rights for tenants in the city. She's trying to undermine the requirements that buildings actually use clean energy. building and BEPS, building in energy performance standards. Like she's just trying to roll it all back, and it is
Even trying to repeal environmental restrictions.
Yep, because she says anything that gets in the way of doing business in DC is a problem, but we cannot sacrifice the people. It's just it's never the right way to build the economy. You always build the economy from the ground up, not from the top down. And she has it all wrong. And the thought of shoveling millions of dollars, billions, I should say, to Josh Harris, who's already worth $9 billion himself, giving him all the money and all the development rights, and then letting him keep literally every dollar that's made. The parking revenue at the stadium, everything spent on merchandise, food, tickets, sponsorships, advertisements, naming rights, parking. Even in days when there's not a game, the team would just keep all of that revenue, even though we're building it and we're paying to build it. But as you said, there are enough voices on the DC Council who realize this is a bad deal for DC residents at a time when the mayor is going to be cutting programs left and right. And they're asking to slow this down, to not pass it by July 15th when the mayor has tried to pressure the council to vote and rubber stamp it.
I think, as I said many times in DC, mathematics is simple. You just got to know how to count to 7. And I don't think they are at 7 yet. What is your straw count?
So they definitely do not have 7. There are 3 council members, Charles Allen, Janice Lewis George, and Brianna Doe, who are like, I'm not that excited about subsidizing a stadium. It doesn't matter to me, honestly, whether they're here, because I know that we can build other things at RFK, more housing, more affordable housing, bring in grocery stores, bring in outdoor entertainment venues, bring in larger sports complex, so many other options that would be great for the community. They are solid no's. There are 4 council members who are pretty solid yeses, and that's Kenny McDuffie, and Anita Bonds, Brooke Pinto, and why am I blanking on the 4th? There's a 4th. I will probably get to them in a second. And then everybody else, well, the people who are looking for a better deal, and we really need to pressure them to be clear what a better deal means, is the people, that's Robert White, Zachary Parker, Matt Fruman, Christina Henderson, and who else am I missing?
Wow, I'm in agreement with Matt Fruman.
No. Matt's in the middle. Matt is one of the people in the middle. Okay. Matt is one of the people who wants a better deal, but hasn't said really how he's going to vote. And those are the people that we need to pressure. Those are the people that we need to focus on, to say, don't just get a little bit of community benefits here and there, quote unquote community benefits, like some after school program at one school. We actually need to say that no matter who builds at the stadium, they're going to pay for the land. No matter what happens at the stadium, there's going to be housing and affordable housing. Yeah. No matter what happens at RFK, we want retail that is for the community. No matter what happens at RFK, if there are construction jobs, they need to be good paying union jobs. And if there are permanent jobs, we need to be able to allow businesses to organize workers there into unions. Those are the things that we need to be focused on.
Have an equitable component to this deal, and the Office of Racial Equity would be a great way to put a racial equity lens on this. I think that the Douglas Community Land Trust should be part and parcel with developing some of the land around it to ensure that it is an equitable distribution of the wealth and the money that's coming in. And I think that Robert White is another opportunity for him to differentiate himself from the mayor if he still has ambitions of running for mayor again, because he has failed to differentiate himself on the terms of the ranked choice voting initiative, which he's on board with allowing it to wither and die, which was also overwhelmingly voted for by the DC residents. But this is an opportunity for him to stand up, stand tall, to make sure that all the things that you just laid out can be achieved. Yeah. And I think that pushback is worthy of an effort from everyone, and that sounds of our voices. And you can go to norfkstadium.com to get involved and do something. I know we got a few more minutes with you, Brother Ed, so the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to echo what you just said. Like, we have a mayor who clearly has sold out to the corporate class. We have a council chair who's pretty squishy. He doesn't care about Initiative 82. He doesn't care about TOPA. He doesn't want to spend billions on a stadium, and that is a good thing. And then we have an at-large council member up for re-election next year, a Democrat, Anita Bonds, who has been against anything that's for the people. We just really need, particularly for Robert White, who I believe his values are in line with the people of DC, and he is more of a grassroots person. That's where his instincts are. We need to remind him what the people want, and also that that is in fact the path for him to be successful as a candidate, is to differentiate himself from the mayor. Say, I'm not the corporate candidate, I'm the people's candidate. So yeah, I just wanted to, the other thing that I think, I don't know if I said this at all, did I say this? But
It bears
not
repeating.
only, yeah, all right, not only would the stadium, would the team get to build the stadium and all this commercial development outside the stadium that they would control and get it for $1 a year as a lease, they wouldn't be required to pay people good wages. And we know what happens in experiences like that. So you may remember the wharf, like Gentrification Central, that the city subsidized with free land worth $300 million. And then Monty Hoffman built it, and we didn't require union labor even in the construction phase. And so a lot of jobs in building the wharf were minimum wage, low benefit jobs with no worker protections or limited worker protections because they weren't union jobs. And that is the same thing that I think could be repeated at RFK. They've promised union labor for the stadium and the parking lots, but not for the hotels, not for the restaurants or any other business, not for the housing around it, and no guarantee that people can organize unions for the permanent jobs at those hotels, at those restaurants. And we know hotel jobs and restaurant jobs are much better when they're union jobs than when they're non-union jobs. And those are simple demands. Whether RFK has a stadium or not, we need to make sure that the construction there is resulting in good jobs. That's what I'm hearing from folks in Ward 7. They want affordable housing. They want more housing. They want more retail options because Ward 7 doesn't have enough for them, whether it's places to go buy stuff, restaurants, other sorts of shopping, hardware stores, grocery stores, whatever that people, dry cleaners. That's what people want. They don't want a hotel. They don't need a hotel. They need things that will serve their family. And if we build housing at RFK instead of a stadium, and if we build recreation there, we'll get that kind of retail. If we have a stadium as the dominant part and a entertainment district going around it, the community won't get anything. The community will be once again left out. And it's sort of sad because I know folks in Ward 7 are eager to get it better. They want something to be developed that lifts up and supports Ward 7. Some people are supporting the stadium because they think that's the only route to get there. And we just need to reach out to the folks who understand that the community can get much more that is really for them and not for a billionaire.
Again, I want to thank you for all the work that you do and your position on this issue, especially because it's very timely and it could really determine which direction the city is going to go. But I apologize in advance because this wasn't a question that you was prepped for, but I'm just throwing it out there. Is there any stadium deal that you know of in America that has actually benefited the people?
Not really, to be honest, but I'm glad you raised the question because there are stadiums around the country where the team has paid 100% of the cost. And those are the places where the team knows it really wants to be. San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, the big cities with the big markets where they can make huge advertising revenue. Team's not going to leave those markets, Las Vegas. And in those places, like in SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, multi-billion-dollar stadium, team owner paid for the land, team owner paid for 100% of the construction. Like even Josh Harris, who owns the Commanders, he's working on a deal for the Sixers in Philadelphia where he's going to pay the full cost of the stadium there. So if he can pay for a stadium in Philly, he damn well can pay for a stadium in DC.
If you can pay for it in Philly, you can pay for it in DC. That's what we're going to roll with. Right. Brother Ed, right. I know that's our time. Give out your contact information and what you the marching orders that you want people to do between now and July 15th.
Yeah, well, if you go to the website you mentioned, norfkstadium.com, you can sign up for alerts. You can take action by sending an email to the mayor and council. That way you will continue to get updates from us. Our group is No Billionaires Playground. We're going to be working soon to be rolling out some social media, so stay tuned for information from No Billionaires Playground so that we can give you updates as things are going along. But for now, go to our website, sign up, and take action by sending an email to the mayor and council to say this is not what we want. The community demands investments in the community, not in billionaires.
And you heard it here, folks. Do that. Go to that website, contact Ed, drop him a line, let him know that this is the type of person that you want to see as chairman of the council in DC. This is the guy that we need. All right. Thank you, Ed.
Sounds good. All right. You take care.
Peace.
All right. Bye.
All right, family. You seen it here? There's a number of black people in office who are as much a detriment to our community as Trump. That's Dr. Ed Chapman. Dr. Edward Chapman, who is a longtime community doctor in Washington, D.C., who hit me to the fact that there's more people that's dying from overdoses in D.C. than all of the violent crimes. You're not hearing about that because you're not hearing, it's not on the city's radar to save any of those lives. But they got $1 billion for a stadium. They always do. But let me leave you with this. Folks in their elected office oftentimes are having to capitulate to corporate interests or mainstream political interests in order to secure the finances and get into the networks that get them elected, while delivering only, for the most part, symbolic victories to the masses of low-income folks in this city. And until folks are clear about undermining the way in which the corporate sector is essentially able to curate folks that come before our community, that become elected officials in a still majority Black city. Until folks are willing to come to grips with that, we're essentially rearranging the chairs on a Titanic. So don't let these people play in your face. Trickle down economics never work. We have alliances with some of the more affluent community on this one. Their issue, of course, is just parking. They don't want any vertical parking structures in Kingman Island to obstruct their views and what have you. Those are the type of enmities that's going to get them on board with resisting this and getting for a better deal. And the people who have less resources, we need to be making sure that this deal is be able to provide more resources in a city that already has some of the highest disparities of wealth in the country. The average white family in Washington, D.C. has 81 times the wealth of the average Black family in this city. And therefore, our racial equity lens needs to be applied to this deal. The Office of Racial Equity should be involved with this deal. The DC Office of Planning and the Comprehensive Plan should be reflected in part of this deal. And I will also advocate that Douglas Community Land Trust should be part of this deal, and the land that's developed around the stadium. And of course, if billionaires came to play, they need to pay. There should be no taxpayer money for stadiums. The stadium and those billionaires can afford to pay for everything. This is our time. Stay safe, stay strong, stay woke. Malcolm X 100. Welcome to D.C. Brother George Clinton, who gave D.C. the name Chocolate City. He's at the 930 Club tonight. I'm going to be at Black Cat with the Malcolm X 100 and Last Pause and Sonny Patterson. All right? Do something. July 15th is the deadline. And also put on your calendar that June 26th, We Act Radio will be sponsoring the Ward 8 Council debate for the candidates, because unfortunately, we're one council member short on the vote for this important issue. No billionaires should be playing at RFK for free. Peace.